They always say the universe is infinite, no beginning, no end. And for us, living on our tiny blue bubble, it's easy to forget just how vast and incredibly silent it is out there. So today, we're going to step outside that bubble. We're going to ask a question that's, well, it's both terrifying and really profound. What actually happens if an astronaut gets separated from their ship? I mean, truly separated, with no hope of ever getting back. Let's find out. To really understand the answer, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the problem. Our entire existence, everything we know, is built on the familiar feelings of our planet. But out there, the rules are just completely different. I mean, just look at that. From a distance, all of humanity, all of our history is just right there on that fragile little sphere. To be lost out here isn't like being lost in an ocean or a desert. It's to be lost in infinity itself. But you might be thinking, how could something like this even happen? Well, let's imagine a scenario. It's fictional, of course, but it's totally scientifically plausible. And you'll see how a routine mission can go catastrophically wrong in just a matter of seconds. So picture this. It starts out as just a normal day on the job. An astronaut is outside the ship, attached by a safety tether, doing a routine repair. Then, completely out of nowhere, a sudden storm of micrometeoroids. These are tiny little particles of space debris moving more than 10 times faster than a bullet. All it takes is for one of them, just one, to hit the tether, and in an instant, it's severed. Instantly, the astronaut is disconnected. They might try to flail their arms, try to swim back, but there's nothing to push against. There's no resistance. So they just start to drift, slowly but surely, away from their ship, away from everything. The radio might crackle with one last desperate call, and then just silence. And now the real ordeal begins. The ship becomes a shrinking speck of light. Earth becomes a distant blue marble. So what does the astronaut actually experience physically and mentally in this absolute total emptiness? What's so wild is how this just strips away all of our senses. Right? On Earth, we're constantly oriented by sound, by the feeling of up and down, even by the air itself. In space, all of that is gone. There's just this profound, deafening silence and no sense of direction at all. The astronaut begins to tumble, slowly and uncontrollably. And it is cold. I mean, unimaginably cold. But the spacesuit is an incredible piece of technology. Its thermal system works overtime to keep the body at a stable temperature, protecting it from that lethal freeze. So for the moment, the body is safe. But there is a clock. The suit's oxygen tank only holds about 8 hours of breathable air. And with every panicked breath, every frantic heartbeat, that countdown just gets a little bit faster. Time itself is now the enemy. And in that silence, with the ship long gone, and Earth just a distant memory, a single crushing thought settles in. The initial shock gives way to this horrifying realization. Now what? Here's the crucial thing. In space, the mind often breaks long before the body does. The constant, disorienting spin means there's no up or down. The sun flashes into view for a few seconds, then it's gone, plunging the astronaut back into total darkness. Day and night lose all meaning. The only sound is the mechanical rhythm of their own breathing, a constant, terrifying reminder of their dwindling time. And this is what happens next. With absolutely no external stimuli, no sound, no orientation, the brain starts to create its own reality. Hallucinations begin. The astronaut might hear voices of loved ones, see familiar faces, or even imagine they're back home. It's really the mind's last, desperate attempt to build a shelter from the infinite void. So now we arrive at the inevitable end. When the oxygen runs out, what happens to the body? And what comes after that? This is really where our story shifts from a human tragedy to a lesson in pure cosmic physics. So, there are two ways this can end. If the suit stays intact, the oxygen simply runs out. Carbon dioxide builds up, leading to a peaceful unconsciousness and then death. The body, perfectly preserved by the cold vacuum, could drift for millennia like a frozen statue. But if the suit gets breached, death is much, much faster and far more violent. The vacuum would instantly pull the air from the lungs, and the lack of pressure would cause the fluids in the body to literally boil. But regardless of how it ends, the astronaut is no longer a person. They have become something else entirely. Cosmic debris. Just an object, subject only to the laws of gravity and momentum, now part of the celestial landscape itself. And the journey continues. For hundreds, maybe thousands of years, the body will drift. It might get pulled into the orbit of a distant planet. Maybe it'll collide with an asteroid. Or it might just continue its silent voyage through the darkness, following a new, eternal path. And this brings us to a final, really profound idea. The universe doesn't register this event as a tragedy, or even as a death. In the grand scheme of things, it is simply a transformation. Just energy and matter changing from one form to another. So, in a way, the astronaut isn't gone. They've simply become part of the very universe they were lost in. Their atoms might one day form the dust of a new star, or settle on the surface of an alien world, or become the brief, brilliant flash of a meteor in a faraway sky. Centuries from now, they might just be a tiny glint of light in a telescope, their human origin forever unknown. It leaves you with one final thought. The next time you look up at the countless points of light in the night sky, what are you really seeing? A distant star? Or maybe something else entirely?